Hello everyone. Today what we're going to be doing for you is we're going to be going into our second classic haircut. It's known by many different names. Here at Capri we call it the diagonal forward haircut. This was made famous by a gentleman named Vidal Sassoon, and for those of you who don't know Vidal Sassoon, he is the gentleman who changed us from classic roller setting to haircuts and blow dries. What I wanted to do is I want to explain to you from the first haircut we did, which you see in front of you, the horizontal haircut we did just prior, and explain to you how it is important to make sure that you cut the right length on this A-line bob, or the diagonal forward we're going to teach you, so that you understand that the haircut will come out correctly. And if you don't do it the way I explain it now, you're not going to get the true A-line bob that we want you to create. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you this horizontal haircut that we have. And what I want to make sure of is that you understand, just like in the first haircut, when we split this haircut behind the ear, that we created a corner in this haircut. Now, when we did that, that was because we wanted to create a true horizontal. In this particular haircut that we're going to be doing today, our second classic cut, we are going to have you go higher in the front, in the back. That is going to be the shortest point of this haircut, and we're going to ask you to come in with a line that's actually going to come downward and continue right into the front. Now, here's the key factor. When you go to cut your back, we want to make sure that you cut enough hair off in the back so that at least a half an inch to an inch comes off the back corner on both sides of this haircut. Once you have enough length taking off there, that will assure that your line will continue forward and downward into the side of this haircut, giving you a true diagonal forward or A-line bob. This haircut will be done in one length fashion, just like we did when we did the original haircut, the horizontal or square bob, and that means we're going to be using minimum tension. We're not going to be shifting the hair in any way, nor are we going to be elevating this haircut in any way. So we're going to be following the same procedure as we did in the haircut number one, and we're going to just do it on a different line, shorter in the back to longer in the front. Okay, we're going to get this mannequin set up and ready for the haircut, and we'll be right back. So we're ready to do our haircuts, haircut number two, the diagonal forward or A-line bob. And before we get started, I just want to explain to you what I have here on the board. And these are the subsections we're going to be taking during this haircut. As you can see up on top, we call this a one-length diagonal forward. The subsections that we're going to take, there's going to be a total of 5 of them. And as you can see, we are going to be taking our panels or our subsections diagonal forward or downward towards the face. And that is because when we learn how to do hair cutting, we want to always cut parallel to our partings. So if you look at the partings that we're using, the line down here that we're going to be cutting is parallel to our subsections in our haircut. You might want to think of the subsections in our haircut as a roadmap to the haircut we're actually doing. So we always want to cut parallel to our partings. Hence, we're going to take diagonal forward or partings coming diagonally downward towards the face because we are creating a line that is going diagonal down. First one or first subsection is going to go from the occipital bone, and if you don't know where that is, it's the bone right at the base of your skull here. Right there is the occipital bone. We're going to go from the occipital bone to a ½ inch above the corner of the nape area. The second one we're going to do is the widest part of the head to the bottom of the ear. So we're going to go from the widest part of the head, which is going to be, of course, where the comb sits flat on your head. And that's going to be where we're going to start in the top. And we're going to then go to the bottom of the ear. Number 3, bottom of the crown to the top of the ear. There are 3 parts in a head form. The spiral area where hair grows out, just about an inch below that is the bottom of the crown. And again, here is the center of the crown. And then right in front of that is the highest point of the head, and that's called the front of the crown. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to see that the number 4 is going to be from the center of the crown to the temple, and then number 5 is going to be the front of the crown to the receding area. So if you look at the profile, we also have in your books, in your student handbooks, the back view of these subsections for you. And again, number 5 isn't there because it's in the front of the head, but again, you could see that these match number 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course we'll do number 5. And now I'm about to get started in actually doing these. Now, always, before we do our subsectioning, we're going to be doing our 4 basic sections. And our 4 basic sections will always go from the center of the nose and through the center of the crown, all the way down to the bottom of our base of our mannequin. And we will then push this out of the way and split this head right in half. And now we are ready to do our side panels. Now, our side panels are going to be done from the highest point of the head. And in this particular haircut, if you remember the previous haircut we did, we explained about 3 different positions on the ear. One is right behind the ear, one is in the center of the ear, and one is in front of the ear. And if you recall what we went over is if we're doing a haircut which has one line going from all the way from the back all the way through the front, we're going to take our side parting just behind the ear. And the reason for that is so that the haircut, when we're doing it, we do not have to interfere or worry about the ear area while we're cutting our back line. We will deal with the ear when we go into our side and front of this haircut. So in this particular haircut, because the line is going all the way from the back all the way to the front, we are going to take this haircut and do the side parting just behind the ear. Just for a refresher real quick, if I was doing a haircut where the line is going to change from the back to the front, doing a different design, I would take the side parting to the center of the ear. And last but not least, and always remember, if I'm going to be cutting a haircut, whether it be a man or a woman, going around the person's ear, meaning very, very short, I always take my side parting from the top of the head all the way to where the ear meets the face. And that's when we cut around the ear. So those are the 3 positions. Again, just a little refresher from the original haircut we did. I'm going to now clip these up out of our way, and we will then get started with our haircut doing our subsection. So now what we're going to do for you guys, and you can notice, I guess you noticed by now, that this is mannequin A. We have 2 mannequins that you guys are doing or working with. We had you mark them when you first came to school, day 1, which was a few days ago or yesterday. And mannequin A is what we always are going to refer to when we talk about our curriculum and the particular haircuts. Remember, all of the haircuts that you're going to do in this class are going to be done on these mannequins that we supplied for you. So you don't have to save hair. What you do need to do is you need to make sure that you do the length of the haircuts we show you so that they come out correctly and you get the best out of your education regarding these particular haircuts. These are classic haircuts. They are done to specific lengths, and you are going to make sure that if you do them the right way and the way we show you on these videos, you're going to get the right results out of your haircuts. Now, on the A-line bob, I might as well throw this in right now. An A-line bob really should never be done below the shoulders. Right now, they're doing something called a classic lob. Now, it's a long bob. That's how it got its name, lob. It's basically done just so the hair swings on the shoulders. But you never really want to create something that looks like this down below someone's shoulders. You know, if you want to make a statement, yeah, but doesn't look real good, okay? So an A-line bob or a classic diagonal forward haircut is usually always done at the shoulder length or above, okay? So that's just a reference for you. We're going to start by, again, taking our occipital bone down to about a ½ inch above the corner of the nape. And we want to make sure that we have that diagonal section, again, cutting parallel to our partings. We now have our first subsection down, and we're going to cut that into our design. Remember that I have to cut at least a ½ inch, maybe more, off the corner of each of these so that I now will have the ability to take more hair off in the front. If I cut my haircut and I don't take any length off of the outside here, that means when I'm done, my haircut will have nothing cut in the front, and I'll wind up with a diagonal forward into a horizontal, which was the previous haircut we did. We don't want that. We want a nice straight line. So When I come in to do this haircut, I'm going to give her just a slight tilt. One of the reasons why we split the hair down the center and take a subsection and cut one side first and then the other is so that we know that we are not accidentally pulling the hair this way or pulling the hair this way when we're doing our one-length haircuts. And that's called shifting or over direction. And if we do a true good one-length haircut, we want to make sure we're going straight down. So if I look at my haircut or my hair strands, if they're parallel to this, I know that I'm in the right position to cut. If I don't, if I were to start my haircut in the center here somewhere, it's very easy for me as a hairdresser to accidentally move from one side to the other and not know. So that's why when we teach our haircuts and we do all of our classic cuts, we cut one side first and then the other. So we're going to now take this down, bring it to 0 degrees, meaning I'm going to have my fingers against her neck, and I'm going to take it on a diagonal forward. As you could see, I'm going to go above the white piece here, and we're going to make sure we take some length off on the sides here. And that is our guideline for this haircut. I'm going to take a small piece of the guide again from this side, push this to the side, and we're going to now use that to take that guideline, fingers parallel to the part, and continue this diagonal forward haircut. One of the things that I learned when I was a young hairdresser is to check this haircut, or to, when I come to do my second side of this haircut, is to purposely cut it a little bit longer so that I make sure that I don't accidentally go too short. Here we're pretty good. I don't have to take any more off, but if I were to leave that a little longer, I could have always double checked it and seen and possibly taken more off if necessary. Take our clip out, again, subsectioning, comb the hair in the direction of the part, sketch from the widest part of the head to the bottom of the ear, and when you're done, touch, pinch, and separate. Clip that hair nice and tight, make a ponytail, twist, clip always upward away from the gravity so we could see our subsection. Remember, this is our roadmap for the rest of our haircut. So again, think of this as a roadmap to our haircut. We're going to, again, comb the hair in the direction of the part. We're going to sketch, touch, pinch, and separate. If you remember from the previous video, I also gave you a little hint in your haircuts. And if you're not sure if your parts are even, put your finger here, put your finger here. Check your fingers. If they look even, we should be in good shape. So we're going to move on to our second section of our haircut. We're going to again split that down the center. Why? Because I want to make sure I'm not accidentally pulling this hair over to this side or to this side. So again, just bringing that hair down naturally, as little tension as we possibly can. Look for our guideline, and here's where I'm going to point out again for you. If you notice, my comb is an extension of my hand. I'm going to use the comb with the teeth facing the top of the head when I start. I'm going to turn that comb as it comes down. I'm going to place my left hand behind my comb on the backbone of the comb. And when I see I'm looking right here, I'm going to bring that down until my guideline, which is right there, disappears in the base of my comb. So again, watch how I do that. Turning the comb, bringing it down naturally, again, till I see that it disappears on the backbone of the comb, and that means I stop with my other hand and I'm ready to cut. Again, bringing this down naturally, okay, and cutting down. Bringing the hair down, natural fall, wherever it wants to fall. Set up your hand and cutting down. We're going to continue that on the other side. We don't need another piece from this side because we already have a guideline on this side. So we're going to now take this down naturally, and we're going to bring this down, looking for our guide right here. Notice the comb turns. Here we go. There's my guideline. There it is. And off it comes. Continue downward. Follow your guide. Underhand technique with the scissor. Bring this hair down naturally angle your fingers parallel to your parting, take the hair off. After each subsection, you always want to check your lengths to make sure that they're even. And once you feel confident that they're even, you can move on to the third section. Now, the third section will be the last section that'll be totally in the back. We're going to take that again from the bottom of the crown. Here's where the spiral would be on a person. Bottom of the crown to the top of the ear. So I'm going to take this section from the bottom of that crown to the top of that ear. So there we are, the bottom of the crown to the top of the ear. Going to do the same thing on the other side. Just a slight tilt I like. I could have her straight up, but again, it just helps if I have a little bit of a tilt for that. She's getting a little bit dry, so we're going to wet her a little bit. Now, there are many people online that you'll see dry cutting. Mike Karg, K-A-A-R-G, is a gentleman who has made dry haircuts pretty well famous for. Again, in your beginning career where you're just learning hair cutting, you either work totally wet or totally dry. And dry hair cutting is much more difficult than cutting on wet hair. So learn how to do good haircuts on wet hair first, then you can go into learning how to cut dry haircuts. So as you can see, I split down the center again. I'm going to now take this haircut and I'm bringing it down again on this side. We're going to naturally let it fall where it wants. Following my comb, here we go. Turn that comb, angle my fingers parallel to my section, and we're going to cut that off. We're going to just continue our line, naturally bringing it down, looking for that guideline, stopping where we need to stop, cut that off. Continue with the haircut on a diagonal downward till all of that hair is cut off. And we're going to now come to the other side. Get this out of our way. And we're going to now take our comb, look for our guide, stop, cut. We are not pulling this hair back at all. We're following the natural fall of the hair. Find your guide, take it off. Continue. And again, always, after you're done with both sections, check your lengths. Once you're satisfied, you're ready to move on. At this point in time, we're going to be taking our sections from the center of the crown to the temple area. So we're actually going to remove a couple of clips here. So we're going to be taking this haircut and we're going to be going all the way from the back into the front. So we will minimize the number of clips we need. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and section the hair from the spiral to the temple. Here we go, from the center to the temple area, and that'll be my next section. We're going to twist that hair up, clip it out of our way, making sure we could see our subsection, and we're ready to move on to the other side. We're going to check our sections to make sure they're balanced and even, which they are. And now we're going to actually be taking this line directly into the front of this haircut. So we're going to again follow procedure. Procedure and basics techniques are more important than the actual haircut. At this point in time in your careers, we're going to drop this down in natural fall and let that hair fall where it wants to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep that separated in half in the back. Let this hair fall. Follow with your comb. Look for the guideline. There it is. Take it down. Continue working. Natural fall. Look for the guideline. And we're going to continue cutting this haircut. Now, at this point, I no longer have a guideline, but I'm going to create the guideline in the front of this haircut by simply following the design line, the angle I have from the back, continuing the line in the front. And as you could see, only a small bit is coming off in the front. So we're going to take this down, angle our fingers parallel to our parting, and continue cutting downward. You could see about a good ½ inch came off in the front there, and we're ready to move on to the other side. I'm going to check lengths on both sides to make sure that we're even. And once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to go back and do the last subsection, which is section number 5, which goes from the front of the crown to the receding area. And the receding area is right in that curvature there. So we're going to just leave that small triangle out there. Clip that out of our way. Same thing on the other side. Now, what you will notice when you see in this haircut is that because these subsections are now in the front of the head, when we go and comb this hair down as natural as we possibly can, not forcing it to go anywhere, you will take notice that not too much hair is left back here to be cut. That is because in this last subsection, we are going to see that most of the haircut is going to be done in the front of the haircut. We are going to still split down the center and follow our procedure. We're still going to check to see if anything comes over our guideline. And we're going to drop the hair down, see if anything comes over, angle our fingers. There is some more strands to be taken off. Okay, we're going to take it down and we're going to find our guideline. And you could see very little coming off, but there is some more hair strands, just a few following through. We're going to continue taking that through the side. And as we work through the side, we should see a little bit more of the hair to be cut off. Continuing that line, there's our guideline. Take it off. Okay? Going to go over to the other side. We're going to follow the same procedure. Now we're going to check our lengths one last time before we bring our last section down. And I think we're ready to bring those final subsections down. At this point, because the triangle was just in the front of this haircut, there's really nothing going to be coming off in the back. However, just for practice and just so that you get good at subsectioning and things, we're going to have you come back here, let the hair fall naturally where it wants. Take your scissors and your comb, bring it down, make sure that's on that side. Check for your guide, practice your scissor stroke, move your body along to see where the hair is coming. And now when we get to the front here, we should see some hair to take off. So we're going to just take this through the side here and continue our line downward. And there is the last little bit of this haircut that has to come off. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we've done the classic A-line bob for you. I'm going to take my time now and we're going to blow dry this mannequin out for you so that you could see the finished results of the classic A-line bob, which we call a diagonal forward haircut here at Capri. Okay, everybody, so this is the finished results of our A-line bob. It's a classic, classic, classic. You'll see it for the rest of your careers as I've seen it in the past 35 years that I've been in this business. It'll never go out of style. It'll never change. The lengths will change. The textures will change. The overall appearance will change. But again, always that classic line in that haircut is what defines an A-line bob or a diagonal forward. As you can see, we are definitely longer in the front than we are in the back. And one of the things you should always apply is what we taught you in the first haircut, which is the laws of haircutting, and that is short hair pushes and supports long hair. If we follow those rules, this haircut will always be pushing forward towards her face. Another law of haircutting is that diagonal sectioning creates movement in a haircut. And when you look at this haircut, you definitely get a feeling or a movement towards the face of the haircut, and that's because it's done on a diagonal line or diagonal sectioning. So again, when we do these types of haircuts, remember that this is only one version and it could change drastically, and you'll be doing these haircuts for the rest of your careers. I hope you enjoyed this session, and that is our classic diagonal forward one length haircut. Hope you enjoyed.